Hey y'all, my name is Cassie and I'm the creator of Pieces of Scrap, and in today's video we're going to be doing a kind of like chill vlog. I have a lot of stuff I want to show you guys, and I also have been working on granny square bags again, but it's a different granny square bag than what you're used to seeing, and if you follow me on Instagram you probably have seen this already, but I came up with this kind of bag design. I say came up and I just mean with like the assembly bits and like the strap and everything. But the daisy granny square itself is a pattern that I found on Pinterest. It's a free pattern. I'll link it below. This is the first one I made and I made it for myself. I just wanted something cute like this. And I'm really excited to make more. I've already started making another one. So I have these two panels here. It's the same color scheme. There's only one difference on my bag. I have extra squares of these light brown or darker brown ones compared to the lighter brown ones, but on this one the light brown is the primary color on this one, so there's 2 more squares than all the other squares. The rest are just 4 squares, so you make 9 squares for each side of your bag. It's 18 squares total. As you can see, there's like a slight pattern variation, like the way that I arranged the squares for this one. But anyway, I wanted to walk you guys through how I made this one in this video. So basically, like I said, you make the 18 squares, and then in order to assemble them, I don't sew them together at all. I just single crochet them together, and how I do that is I fold the 2 squares that I'm sewing together or crocheting together with the right sides facing each other, and then you just single crochet along this line, and then once you get to the next set of square, or get to the end of these 2 squares, you just single crochet directly into your next set of squares and then the next set of squares, and then once you do that you'll just have like a 2 columns of 3 squares each, but they won't be sewed down these sides. So then what you do is you fold it this way and you crochet along that way, and you repeat that for each row, each column, and then eventually you get this. And then what I'll show you later in this video is how to create the border around these and attach them to each other and attach the straps. Anyway, I'm working on another one now, or at least I picked out the color palette for it, and I want to show you guys that. So I already have like the next one planned. So I have these pretty greens picked out, and then to complement it I have a like beige color, this purpley lilac pinky color, and a white for the flower petals. So that'll be a cute little bag. I think it'll be a lot more spring than the one that I have. The one I have is like fall, but we are in spring. We need a spring bag, so that is what I chose. Anyway, so I'm going to take you guys upstairs. We're going to work on this granny square bag. I'll kind of walk you through how to finish it, assemble it, and everything, so that you guys can make one of your own if you want to. Alright, so I've got my 2 sides of my bag here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a border around each one, and then I will slip stitch those 2 borders together so that we slip stitch across 3 sides of this bag so that it is a bag and not just 2 squares. I only have about this much yarn, so hopefully that is enough. But let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to put away one of my squares, and I'm going to attach my yarn at one corner of my square. So what I'm going to do is just slip knot, and I'm going to pull tight so that it's at the far corner of this granny square corner, because we're going to work this way. So then once I have that, I'm going to make a chain, and then I'm going to pull the end through and tie a knot so that that's secure. And now I'm going to do another chain, and now I'm going to start my work. So I'm going to place 4 single crochets in this corner. Alright, and now I'm going to single crochet in every stitch around the entire side of this bag. So we're placing single crochets in each one of these double crochets. If you know how many stitches you have on each side of your granny square, that might be helpful in case you run into your fasten off points on your granny squares. Alright, so now that I'm at the end of this granny square, I'm going to put one single crochet in the corner, and then I'm going to skip the seam here and put another single crochet in this next corner, like that. We're not placing any increases into these seams because it's not a corner. We placed it here because this is a corner of the bag. Next up, I have this yarn tail from the seam here, and I'm just going to work it into my stitches. And what I mean by that is I'm tucking it behind where I'm pulling up a loop. So as you can see here, as I pull up a loop, my hook is underneath that yarn tail, and I'm just weaving the ends in naturally as I crochet. So I'm just single crocheting over all these double crochets and over that yarn tail, and just holding the yarn tail as I go so that I don't miss it when I pull through the stitch. Alright, and we came to another corner, and we're going to put one single crochet in there, and one single crochet on the other granny square, and I've picked up another end, so I'm just going to continue crocheting over those ends so that they just weave themselves in. And I know it'll be a little awkward at first if you try this technique. I don't even think anybody taught me this. I just wanted to find a way to avoid weaving in loose ends. And so whenever I have a loose end, I usually just crochet directly over it, especially if you're not going to see the inside. So like for amigurumi, it is very helpful. Alright, so we've single crocheted across this entire side, and we're at another corner, so we're going to turn our work. We're going to place 4 single crochets in this corner. And then we're going to work single crochets across this whole side. So single crochet, and here is a yarn tail. So for the ends of your granny squares that have fasten off points, the stitch might be a little bit harder to locate, so you can either put it right here or right here. And I usually opt for here instead of where the knot is, because putting it where that knot is might be a little bit more difficult. It's a tight fit compared to where the stitch is. And again, I'm just weaving in that yarn tail as I go by holding it down on this side and crocheting over it. Well, we've got quite a few yarn tails coming up, as you can see, that we'll have to crochet over, but that way we don't have to weave in any loose ends. So here we've got the yarn tail from the seam. I'm pulling it up to crochet over it. Excuse me while I unwind some yarn. And we're just continuing to crochet over those loose ends and into each double crochet. Alright, so another fasten off point, and the reason why I said that you can do either is sometimes one of the stitches is more open than the other. So in this case, the one underneath the knot is a bigger opening than the other one. So I'm going to crochet into that one, and then we're going to skip this piece, this little loop here, because it's essentially the same stitch. It just looks strange because that's where you fastened off. So still just single crocheting into each double crochet, and weaving our ends in. I'm not used to hearing my yarn squeak anymore. I'm not using acrylic yarn quite as often as I use my chenille yarn. So hearing yarn squeak is something I am not used to anymore. This is a problem that we can encounter occasionally when we're weaving in ends by crocheting over them. The tail peeks through the front, and all you have to do is pull that tail out back through where you're trying to hide it, and I'm just going to trim it. And I'm going to keep working. Alright, we're at another corner, and as you can see, we've worked all the way from this point here to this point now, and we're gonna work these two sides, and then I'll meet you back over here so that you can see how I join those ends. Alright, so I'm approaching that fasten off point, so I'm going to finish single crocheting into my double crochets. Alright, and we've got two left. And that's it. So now that we're here, you can see the first single crochet we created. We're gonna hook through there, and we're gonna slip stitch and fasten off. So I'm gonna cut my yarn and fasten off. And you actually don't need this long of a tail because we're just gonna single crochet these together. We don't need to, you know, we don't have to worry about weaving in ends because of the technique that I use. Anyway, so yeah, as you can see, we don't have any loose ends anymore. They're all like crocheted into the seams here, so that's nice and pretty. And now we just have to repeat that for the other side, and then we can slip stitch these two sides together. Alright friends, I finished the second edging, and I am not going to fasten off on this one because we're going to go right into slip stitching them together. So I'm going to line them up the way that I want them, like that. And now we're going to slip stitch. So I'm going to skip the stitch that I'm currently in because I don't want this slip stitch that I formed to make this seamless edge to disappear. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, and then I'm going to find the second single crochet in this corner and slip stitch through that. So we slip stitch through that, and we're going to go all the way around, just slip stitching these stitches together. It's pretty simple. And each slip stitch that I make, I'm like pulling very tight to secure the slip stitch, because that way the seam that I'm making is a very tight seam. So as you can see, you can kind of see the work that I'm doing here in the seam. These slip stitches are very tight slip stitches instead of having loose slip stitches, so that the bag doesn't come unraveled or doesn't try to tear open on the sides or anything like that. We want a strong bag that can support weight. Alright, well, I will return once I get to the other corner of this open side of the bag, and then I'll show you guys how to chain your handle on. Alright, so I finished the edging, and I forgot to say that you can't really slip stitch and weave in an end. You can, it's just a lot harder. You have to like weave this back and forth as you go. So I just decided that I will quickly weave this in. I haven't fastened off yet. I'm just gonna pull up a loop so that doesn't come undone while I quickly weave this in. But what we're about to do is we're about to chain off of the corner to create our strap. And what I found was helpful last time that I did this was I used stitch markers to mark every 10 stitches because I am notoriously good at losing track of what number I'm counting. So I mark every 10 stitches. So anyway, I think that's good. I'm gonna cut this off. So we weaved in our end and our bag is together. So we've got this nice seam down the side. Got the corners looking good. Got dog hair in the bag. And we've got my very long loop on this side. So we're gonna reattach our hook to it. And I chain, from what I remember, I think I chained 106 last time. So I'm gonna mark every 10 stitches. So fun fact real quick, I have never used these stitch markers before, but they're pretty cool. I like not having to safety pin them closed. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. I got these from a Christmas present. I got a crochet hook kit and it came with 3 different types of stitch markers, and one of them were these, and then it came with really small like sewing safety pins, and they're all gold. And then it came with the regular stitch markers that I'm used to, which look like plastic safety pins, but they're all like really flimsy and I've been breaking them apart really often. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 6 more. Alright, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make sure that this is an adequate strap, and it is. Okay. Like that you're happy with the length is what I'm trying to say by adequate strap. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slip stitch this strap into the opposite corner. So I'm just taking my hook and placing it in this stitch right here. Hopefully you can see that okay. Might be a tight fit. Okay, so we're slip stitching, and then we're gonna slip stitch again, and we're gonna chain the same number back to the opposite side. Alright, I'm finishing up this chain now. That was 106. So now what I'm gonna do is slip stitch back into this side, right beside where the other chain started, so right here. And now I'm going to pull up a loop and take all of these stitch markers off because we don't really need them anymore. You could leave them all in if you wanted to, if you have enough stitch markers, that is, to check that you're single crocheting through the same chain on each hook, on each chain. But that shouldn't be an issue if you line it up properly. So just getting all these stitch markers off. Okay. All right, so now we've got these two chains. We're gonna lay them side by side. Gonna attach our hook back where that loop was that we pulled out far so we could take those stitch markers off. We're going to slip stitch to this chain. So we're gonna slip stitch over to the seam right under where the chain starts, or wherever your heart desires. It doesn't really matter as long as it looks nice. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert our hook into the first stitch on the first chain, and the first stitch on the other chain. And you're gonna pull up a loop through both of them and single crochet. And you're gonna do that through every stitch, every chain on this chain. So we've got 2 stitches right there, and we've got number 3, which is right here, and number 4. And I'm gonna try to line these up a little better so I can get through there a little easier than I currently am. So just a second while I adjust. Okay, my yarn chicken game, so far I'm winning and I'm very happy about that. Okay, so we've got our 2 chains. I am lining them up, and we need to work into this chain right here and into the next one, which is this one. And into the next one. So that is what your strap should look like as you work on it. Alright, so just doing some readjusting here so you can see this better. I'm inserting into each of those stitches and then pulling through and single crocheting. And we're gonna do this all the way across to the other side. All right, so I finished my strap, and now all I have to do is slip stitch back into the bag. So I'm gonna do that. Slip stitching right next to where the strap starts. And then I'm gonna cut a long strand because we're gonna weave in ends very well. Oh, I dropped my needle. Okay, so now we're gonna weave in this end, and we're just gonna weave it into the seam, so we're just gonna go back and forth. Okay, so we've gone back and forth through the seam, and now I'm gonna cut that. And that is our bag. So nice strap here and nice bag. So that's all you have to do to make your own granny square bag. No sew granny square bag. Hey guys, so it's been a couple days since you've seen me last. I last put together my granny square bag, and then I started making the squares for the new bag based on that color palette that I chose and I showed you earlier in the video. So I wanted to show you what that bag turned out looking like after it's been all assembled and all the squares are done. So here it is. It's a very pretty spring pattern, spring bag. So I'm really excited. This is actually a gift for one of my friends. Her birthday's coming up, so I'm very excited to give this to her, and I am sure she'll love it. Her favorite color is green, so I'm very excited to get this to her. Anyway, I kind of wanted to give you guys a life update because I've just been super busy. I'm trying to prep a lot of videos for the coming weeks because I'm going to be traveling for work like nearly every other week for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and so I've been trying to film a lot of content for YouTube so that I don't miss an upload while I'm gone. So a lot of the content that you're going to be seeing for the next 4 weeks or so, I guess it's 6 weeks, the next 6 videos that you see, including this one, are all videos that were filmed within like 2 weeks. The YouTube algorithm really punishes you if you miss a upload. They stop sharing your content to new viewers. So in order to get the ball rolling again, you have to keep posting consistently. And so I missed a couple uploads last year when I first started my channel, and I'm trying to avoid that completely this year. So I'm trying to get ahead of myself, and that's why, even though I'm only going to be on like half of the next 6 weeks, I still want to be able to give myself enough time to build up content for when I am home, so that I don't have to worry about needing to have a lot of content finished in the future and get like quick turnarounds finished for you guys. So anyway, I have just finished my tester call. If you guys remember, I had announced my tester call about a week ago, and I just chose testers today on my Instagram. So congratulations if you got chosen to be tested. If not, it's going to be a free pattern on Instagram, so don't worry, you should still be able to make it when it comes out on my Instagram. And of course, this pattern will also be on my Etsy for those who prefer PDF patterns, so you can purchase it off my Etsy instead when it does come out. But yeah, I am so excited to get these into the hands of people who can test them for me, make sure the pattern makes sense and everything like that. And I'm also really excited to work on more patterns in the future, but because of all my work travel that I'm gonna have to do, probably not gonna get another tester call out until May. But I have some patterns that I have created in the past that I could potentially put out for tester calls. Like I have a couple Pokemon patterns that I made for commissions, and then I have some other basic patterns that I might want to get tester calls for. So be on the lookout on my Instagram. If you're not following me already, make sure you follow me over there. That's where I put out all my tester calls, and all my free patterns are on my Instagram and everything. And also, if you're interested in suggesting a pattern to me for me to review in a future free amigurumi pattern review video, you can suggest them to me over there on Instagram by just sending me those posts directly to my DMs, and I will save them. Anyway, if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That is a great way for you to tell the YouTube algorithm that you like my content and you want other people to see it as well. And then also comment down below what you want to see from me in the future. If you like this video, tell me what you liked about it. If you're working on market prep patterns or anything in particular like amigurumi, like let me know what you're working on. We all want to share and kind of chat together and hear about what we're all doing. So anyway, If you like my content and want to see more in the future, I put out new videos every Tuesday, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!